Hello kind people of YouTube and welcome back to another video. Today, as always, we're going to take a quick look at the markets and then at some news that have come out over the last day or so. Let's get started by refreshing CoinMarketCap real quick. We see yesterday's market uplift continue on today with growth between 3 and 5% for most major coins here. The only exception, Bitcoin Cash SV, which has ever so slightly fallen as the rest of the market gained ground significantly. We see the market cap up at 137, almost 138 billion. That is about the highest it has been in a week or so, and we see if we're looking at the 7-day graphs for most of the major coins, this is either the highest or near to the highest they have been in the last 7-day period. So in general, looking very good here. We might be over the worst for now, but as always, don't get your hopes up too much quite yet. There is still potential for everything to go back into the red at a moment's notice, for us to go crashing down again, so do not get too hopeful here. One good sign, a legitimately good sign, is that Bitcoin is moving further north of its $4,000 mental barrier at $4,254 right now. That is a pretty significant amount in between itself and 4,000, so that any dramatic drops would only occur if the 4,000 barrier breaks. So right now we have pretty good distance to there. But aside from that, there's not all that much interesting stuff going on in the markets today, and there does not seem to be any specific reason for this upturn at this moment. But if we're looking a bit more long term, a lot of people have stated that they think how the SEC decides on various ETFs that they're currently reviewing could very well decide if we are entering another bull run or not. And their decision is growing ever nearer, and we have some news about some last minute efforts to change their minds to make them approve these ETFs. And as always, of course, all these articles are linked in the description. Members of VanEck, SolidX, and CBOE-BZX Exchange met with US Securities and Exchange Commission staff earlier this week to present a new argument on why the Bitcoin market is ready for an ETF. In the latest push to convince the regulator to approve a rule change which would open the door for the country's first Bitcoin ETF, the three firms met with the SEC's Division of Corporation Finance, Division of Trading and Markets, Division of Economic and Risk Analysis, and Office of General Counsel. Notably, Monday's effort differed from previous presentations, which took more of a regulatory focus. Instead, the proponents' argument centered around the idea that the Bitcoin market is mature enough to support an ETF and at present looks similar to markets for other assets which already have such products. The presentation gave several examples of assets that already have ETFs, including crude oil, silver, and gold. Now, you could of course argue that silver, gold, and crude oil are not as volatile as cryptocurrencies, but once again, keep in mind cryptocurrencies are a very young market, and even as they mature, there is still a lot going on right now. The presentation specifically tied the idea of futures markets with spot markets, noting that for money substitutes such as gold and silver, this connection between the two can be proven with empirical evidence. Further, this type of price co-integration is evidence of a well-functioning capital market. The firms went on to explain that, similar to commodity futures, the spot and futures prices of Bitcoin are tightly linked, again providing evidence of a well-functioning capital market. On another note, and this is the much more important and for me interesting part here, they argue that the Bitcoin ecosystem is less susceptible to manipulation than other commodities which already support exchange-traded products. This is the big one. For example, insiders might possess or trade information related to the supply of physical commodities, say if a new source for an asset is discovered or if some event lowers the production, and this may impact price. Bitcoin does not face this sort of issue. And this article goes on a bit longer, but we have the core parts here. This is the argument these firms have made to the SEC just before they are meant to come out with their final ruling. Now, they are of course ruling on a new ETF as well as reviewing multiple ETFs that they initially rejected. Now, a lot of people think the fact that they initially rejected those and that they're now reconsidering them is proof that they are going to approve them this time. I don't think that is the case, and we have just received some statements out of the SEC that seem to be pointing towards them not approving these ETFs. And surprisingly, the crypto markets did not crash down as a result of that, because probably a lot of people were expecting this not to go well. But don't get too excited about the prospects of them approving these ETFs. It's possible, but it doesn't necessarily look likely. But these arguments that these companies have made, these are absolutely valid, and there does seem to be some underlying hypocrisy, or maybe just oh my god, I cannot think of the English word right now. Conservatism, that is the word I was looking for. Some underlying conservatism, a fear of the new. It does not seem fair that cryptocurrencies, or Bitcoin in particular, may not have ETFs currently, when other much more susceptible to manipulation and equally mature or immature, whatever you want to call it, markets do have these products. So they're pointing out a very real issue here. And of course, you can imagine if you're dealing in, say, gold, or if you're dealing in any other traditional finance thing, if you're dealing in stocks, the danger of insider trading, of insider information affecting price movement, and of you being able to capitalize on that, is very, very high. Now, to some degree, that danger does exist in the crypto world. For instance, you might have very good news about a certain cryptocurrency. You might know that it's getting a technical upgrade soon, or that there's a partnership with a major company coming up that might move the price. And insofar, insider trading is not unheard of in the crypto world. But it's not nearly as common, and the crypto world doesn't lend itself to it nearly as easily as some other things do. And it does seem a bit ridiculous that those have ETF markets and cryptocurrencies currently do not. On to some happier news. The oldest Swiss university awards an honorary doctorate to Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin. I always like the little drawings that they have. The University of Basel has granted an honorary doctorate to Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin, according to an official statement on the university's website. The Faculty of Business and Economics of Switzerland's oldest university has awarded him for outstanding achievements in the fields of cryptocurrencies, smart contracts, and the design of institutions, as the university noted in a recent tweet. The honorary degree was granted by Dean Alexander Berentzen, Professor of Economic Theory and Dean of the Faculty of Business and Economics, during the university's annual celebration Dies Academicus, that took place on Friday, November the 30th. The University of Basel specifically noted Buterin's groundbreaking contribution to promoting the idea of decentralization, as well as equal participation in the digital revolution. The faculty emphasized that Buterin wrote his scientific papers without a degree and commitment to a university. And that is pretty much all we need to read here. This is very interesting. You might wonder, why do we care? And there's one core reason why we care. This is an important established university going out of their way to associate themselves with cryptocurrency technology. This is a part of the mainstreaming of cryptocurrency, and this is a part of cryptocurrency gaining mainstream respect. Because now, of course, these universities always gain something. They gain positive attention, they gain media coverage by giving these honorary doctorates. But somewhere underlying, that means there are now plenty important economists working at top universities. The University of Basel is not a bad university. That is a well-established, well-respected university. They have top economists, and they either respect Buterin enough to want to give him an honorary doctorate, or at least don't dislike him so much that they don't want to give it to him. And that is meaningful. That means there is a place in the discourse now, in the mainstream academic discourse around economics, for respect for cryptocurrencies, for major players in the cryptocurrency realm. By extension, this is respect for Ethereum and for all similar cryptocurrencies that use similar technologies that are very much smart contract based. This should make us all very happy as supporters of cryptocurrencies, of the future of this market, because this means that people with real influence on what banks do, on what governments do, on what major corporations do, these are the economists that presidents use as advisors, that these now have a respect for and give awards in dedication to cryptocurrency achievement. So this, I believe this is not the first honorary doctorate given to someone, or it might actually be given to someone for cryptocurrency work, but it is certainly an important one. And you might also wonder, so honorary doctorates, why does that matter in general? Well, ultimately, it doesn't really matter. An honorary doctorate is, of course, not a real doctorate. It is enough so that you can technically use doctor in your name, but that is generally frowned upon because obviously it is not quite the same as having an actual doctorate. Generally, for a doctorate, you work at least 8 years on getting that degree. So, of course, it's not quite the same. It doesn't let you do quite the same things that a real doctorate does. It cannot be used as a scientific title to the same degree. But it has symbolic meaning. It is very much like an award that is given to non-academics for academic achievement. And having this given to the co-creator of one of the major cryptocurrencies out there, that's big. This is big. Now looking at the future of another cryptocurrency that is very much about smart contracts and what you can build on top of them, TRON could adopt ZK snarks to enhance privacy by Q1 of 2019. That is very soon. The TRON cryptocurrency could soon join the list of privacy coins such as Zcash, Monero and Verge. This is according to the project's CEO and founder Justin Sun. Justin made these statements about privacy on the TRON network during an interview with the team at the Bad Crypto podcast. In the interview and around the 22-minute mark, Justin is asked by Bad Crypto's Rachel Wolfson about the concerns of privacy on the TRON blockchain since everything is evidently transparent. He responded to the question as follows. First of all, I think that transparency is very important and also the governance. That is how people have trust in this network. I think privacy is also important for the network. So that's why I think in next year, Q1, we will adopt the ZK snarks into our network. So zero knowledge proof into our network. This is how we can improve the privacy of the whole network. So in the future, if you want to have these private transactions and a private address, we can also make sure if you use the address that nobody can see you, the transaction can be untraceable. We provide a different solution, and depending on your preference, you can choose a different one. So this, of course, is not really any kind of official statement, but this is very much him claiming that that is the goal. But whether it actually happens in Q1 or whether it might take a bit longer, this shows us that TRON's team and Justin Sun in particular are actively looking into integrating ZK snarks. Now, TRON is not the only network that originally did not use them that is now thinking about integrating them into the network. There have been efforts, for instance, to also integrate them into Ethereum. These are essentially privacy layers that with ZK snarks you can prove that a certain funding is there without giving up any more information about it. That is a huge thing as far as privacy is concerned, because it essentially makes completely private interactions on a blockchain possible, without losing any of the safety of a decentralized blockchain. So if they can make this happen on TRON, that will be pretty big. That will add TRON to a growing list of privacy coins. Now that will also lead to TRON being under more of a legal eye though, because the moment a cryptocurrency has a transparency layer, the moment it has privacy layer has privacy functions, that is the moment that a government looks into that network for how it might be used illegally. So while this in one way is very, very good, it does mean the TRON cryptocurrency, their network, their technology will probably come under more scrutiny as well. But in general, this seems like a step in a good direction. I have been very, very critical of Justin Sun in the past, some of the statements he has made, the way he has hyped up some partnerships that did not turn out to actually be partnerships by any real definition. So I'm definitely not biased here. I'm not positively biased towards TRON, and I like to believe I'm also not unfairly negatively biased against it. But I'm very happy about what I've seen from the team lately. There's active development happening on TRON, and they are really working on the aim of mainstream adoption. Just yesterday we talked about a $100 million fund to be invested in developing video games on top of this platform, which of course could be a huge way that TRON might enter the public awareness. Very, very good and potentially very interesting news out of the TRON camp. And last but not least, we have some statements about XRP from the CEO of Omni, which is one of the XRapid customers. Thomas McLeod, CEO and co-founder of Omni, a renting service in San Francisco, spoke about Omni during the latest episode of the Ripple Drop. He also spoke about his experience of introducing XRP as another option for cash outs apart from US dollars on their platform. The CEO started by speaking about the platform's key role, stating that their main objective is to connect the whole world through things. McLeod added that their initial idea was of storage and collecting things, and currently they are building an entire rental marketplace. He went on to say, "So there's a world in which everything that you have, you should be able to connect with other people, and other people should be able to use those things as well. So if you have a bike and you're not using it, someone else can use it when you're not using it. And now you can also make money on top of that." So essentially, imagine Omni as a platform where you can, anything you might have lying around your house, any object that has an inherent usefulness, but that you not currently need, this is a platform where you can essentially rent that out to other users for a certain amount of money, and one option is to do that with cryptocurrency. McLeod further spoke about the company integrating XRP in their platform and the impact it has on its users. He remarked that in a long-time vision, they see themselves as a bank, and instead of having assets like the dollar and yen, the platform has bikes, books, and equipment, which are, and in quotes, actually assets. He further added, "It became very clear that this could be a great tool for both providing vast, rapid liquidity for sort of cashing out the capital that you have made through the rental side, as well as in the future connecting individuals quickly with those assets." Furthermore, Ethan Beard, SVP at Ripple, spoke about Xspring and its use case. He stated that Xspring is an initiative that focuses on the new use cases for XRP and XRP Ledger outside of cross-border payments. Beard. I'm a mess again today. I'm such a mess again. Went on to say, "So for Xspring, we're focused on a couple of different things. As I mentioned, XRP payments is an important one. I think the other that we're spending some time doing into is looking at the tokenization of real-world assets, which of course is similar to what Omni is doing. Finally, I'm not gonna try to pronounce that, I'm terrible with Spanish names. The head of XRP markets at Ripple stated that the new use cases of XRP are incredibly accretive to global growth of liquidity and mostly for XRP, he said. For XRP, if it's being used in those flows, if you look at other markets, the driving force of liquidity is not speculation, it's not liquidity provisioning by market participants, it's the use of that liquidity by real businesses. The more liquidity you have, the tighter spreads, the more efficient XRapid and XRP end up being. And I would really love if they used some actual punctuation in their quotes here, but I'm just nitpicking here. So the important thing we see here is that some of Ripple's customers, some people who have integrated XRapid and XRP into their platforms, are very, very happy with what it is doing. They consider it revolutionary. Now we are still waiting for more people to get on the XRapid train, so to say. But it is always looking promising when you hear, whenever you hear someone from a company that integrates one of Ripple's technologies talk about them, they always only have positive things to say. I don't think we have had a single case where a company affiliated with Ripple, whether they used Xcurrent, XRapid or something else, where they had negative things to say about it after a while. Just recently we had someone talking about how they integrated Xcurrent and how incredibly happy they were after a year and how they're planning to further expand their use of Ripple's technologies. Always looking very, very good. And of course, if you're talking about tokenization of assets, if you're talking about rental spaces, those are usually not particularly large amounts of money, but rather there are many fast, small transactions that you really want to go smoothly. You want those to be fast, you want those to have proper liquidity, that you don't have to wait for funds to be in the market to make this happen. So of course XRapid, XRP, those are sensible choices there. And with these positive statements about XRP, with these good news surrounding TRON, and with this hopeful future for crypto where we're more respected, where we have more mainstream exposure, I'm gonna let you guys go for today. As always, thank you so much for watching. All the articles you can find in the description if you want to read them yourself. If you like this video and you're not subscribed yet, you should change that and hit that subscribe button right now. If you are already subscribed and you really like my videos, there are ways to support me in the description. I always appreciate some tips. And also you will find my social media pages, and yeah, that's it. That is actually everything that's in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll be with you guys again tomorrow.